So being new to this, are we all supposed to?
I don't know how much. I don't know how many seats we have.
I'm perfectly fine with sitting back there.
Well, there should be.
There should be between here and there. Yeah.
Here. I'm not sure who else is going to be up at the table. 他们让我们代表团都在那边。
中国旗就在那个旗。
小李陪着您在这上面。
完了，那个谁，春景啊，那个什么，然后就是在那个席位的最边上，领导的位置。哦。
大臣、今日はお呼びにいらっしゃいまして、どうぞよろしくお願いします。副大臣、今日は共同議長していただきまして、大変ありがとうございます。日本の副大臣の長岡恵子でございます。今日はどうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Now we have an international I created a local team out of Japan.
Yeah, but then I think it's
I'm sorry, I was fortunately, this is true. Oh, yes.
Thank you very much. はい。はい。よかったね。
はい、ありがとうございます。ジオの事務局が
way of life, one compatible world, not using resources, very frugal way, which shows the best for nature.
際に、情報を共有して実際に発見をする必要のある情報を得られること大事なので、本当に貴重なことだと思ってご尽力いただければと思います。ようこそ日本に。はい。今日は
Both of you. Thank you for hosting us. This lovely, lovely venue. Very busy today.
That's it.
Top three.
今作はのタイトルの発信をつける。
Place in history.
あれがポインターですね。これがポインターだ。
これがポインターだけ。あ、そうですね。
Good morning. Can we please take our seats and get ourselves properly warmed up to start with the plenary? As soon as I see everybody seated, we are going to then get ourselves properly welcomed. So my name is Mboneni Moape. I'm the co-chair from South Africa, and I'm going to be chairing this meeting today, and I'll do the same tomorrow. We have finally arrived here in Kyoto, Japan. We are in this very historic place, and I am also, like you, just a visitor who needs to be welcomed. So before going any further, I am going to be handing over to the Minister of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology in Japan, Ms. Keiko Nagawaka, to welcome us. And I think after being welcomed, we will be properly set and ready to start with the proceedings of the day. Thank you so much, Minister.
皆様、ようこそ日本へお越しくださいました。Welcome to Japan。本日、我が国におきまして、第15回GEO本会合を開催できることを非常に嬉しく思います。開催国を代表し、一言ご挨拶をさせていただきます。ここ、国立京都国際会館は、1997年12月に開催された第3回の気候変動枠組み条約締結国会議、つまり COP3 において、我が国のリーダーシップのもと、京都議定書を合意することに成功した場所であり、世界全体が気候変動対策に向けて大きな一歩を踏み出した始まりの会場でございます。気候変動を含むさまざまな地球規模課題の解決に貢献することを目的とするGEOにとって、京都の地は最もふさわしい開催地の一つであると言えるでしょう。世界のさまざまな場所で環境問題が発生をしています。私たちの行動が世界環境に影響を与え、また地球環境の悪化も私たちの生活に影響を与えている中で、一国では解決できないさまざまな問題に、私たちは地球市民、グローバルシティズンズとして取り組むことが求められております。世界が地球環境の持続可能性に対する危機感を持ち、連携して課題解決に取り組む中で、我々は地球観測によってこれをサポートしてまいりましょう。我が国はGEO発足以前より国際的議論に参加をしてきたGEO提唱国の一つであります。そして、一昨日打ち上げに成功した人工衛星 GOSAT-2 などによる観測データの増強やデータ統合解析システム DIAS の運用等を通じて GEOS のさらなる発展に貢献をしてまいります。今回の会合では特に地域ごとの活動やGEOの優先連携3分野である持続可能な開発目標を定めたSDGs、パリ協定、仙台防災枠組みに焦点を当て、GEOSと地球観測データの貢献とさらなる活用について、政策立案者や研究機関、エンドユーザー等の視点を交えて議論を行います。本会合での活発な議論を通じ、参加国、そして機関がより結びつきを強くをし、GEOS地球規模の課題解決に役立つことを期待いたします。最後になりますが、来年は日本においてラグビーワールドカップを開催いたします。そしてその翌年2020年にはオリンピック・パラリンピックが東京で開催いたします。本会合をきっかけに日本の良さを知っていただき、次回はぜひ スポーツ観戦にもお越しください。本会合の開催にご尽力をくださりましたGEO事務局長、そして事務局員の皆様、それからご参加をいただきました皆様方に心からの感謝を表して、ありがとうとさせていただきます。Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. We are now properly welcome, and I think we need to feel that way. And we're going to start now with the program. And I just want to say to the Minister and the rest of the Japanese delegation that we're very thankful for your hospitality, which obviously started during the so-called the GEO week. We are continuing to be here until the end of this week. And we know that just having to organize and offer to organize this event has been quite an experience, and also it took a lot of effort on your side. I want also to thank the fellow co-chairs who have really been instrumental in making sure that we continue to push with the objectives of this organization since Washington last year. In particular, I want to say to Steve Waltz, who has been the lead co-chair for this year, that you've really done a wonderful job, probably also putting us into trouble in terms of just having to put up with the standards that you have set. I also want to thank the GEO members and participating organization, all of you who actually make GEO what it is. Thank you for all the efforts that have actually sustained us to be at this position that we are today. To the Director of the GEO Secretariat, still very new, and having just jumped into the deep, we thank you for having started and committing yourself to ensuring that you continue to assist us in steering this organization forward. And I want to thank also the team that supports you, which is the whole GEO Secretariat team. The work that we do as co-chairs, I want to say, is really a very difficult one, but it's really been made very easy by the lead co-chair representatives who are always supportive, and I want to say to them, thank you so much. The programs board and the respective countries that you're coming from and the organization, you have also make sure that the managing of the work of GEO program actually goes properly. And so has been the work that has been happening in various regional GEOs. So we want to say we thank you as we start this particular meeting. We are going to continue to push with the objectives of GEO, which we have identified and have been focusing on since 2015. And we have then committed that for the next 10 years, we will be looking at advocating for the importance of Earth observation and open data globally. We committed that we are going to be engaging with stakeholders, in particular user communities and also the private sector. But most importantly, we want to be able to deliver information, data, and services that will enable informed decision making. And those are really some of the objectives that we are going to have to push until the end of this particular strategic term. We're all aware that the priority engagements areas are making sure that we support the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, ensuring that we continue to support the Paris Agreement on climate change and the Sendai Framework on disaster and risk reduction. Today, we continue to celebrate our achievements, but we also continue to have one hand focusing on the challenges at hand. And we are going to be working, starting from the announcement that's going to be made in the next few hours, in the preparation for the ministerial. And also, as you're going to hear later, we are going to really reinforce our efforts to drive what we call a result-oriented GEO. We'll also be working to start the new work programs as the new cycle kicks in. I want to say that from the South African side, obviously, we continue to ensure that our regional GEO, in the name of AfriGEOs, continue to do its duty of mobilizing the membership in the continent, but also ensuring that Earth observation becomes central to making informed decision-making in the continent. We have committed over the past couple of years as a country to use Earth observation to maximize the contribution of our oceans to the economy through what we call Operation Pakisa. And in that regard, we have established that Earth observation is going to be central. And we have started the programs where we're using nano satellites, and we also have programs on the development of satellites to really look at how Earth observation can actually unearth the potential of the oceans to bring and drive our economy forward. We are looking forward, as you're going to hear today, in working with the rest of the Earth observation stakeholders, in particular with Australia, in driving the initiative called Digital Earth Africa. And in this regard, I think more detail will unfold as we go on. Colleagues, I think we're going to have a very fruitful discussion, and it's all depend on us. And as much as it is possible, let us come here with a mind and one idea of really trying to find solution to the challenges and committing to making sure that Earth observation takes its rightful place in the world. I'm going to now hand over to my colleagues, the fellow GEO co-chairs, to actually provide us with some opening remarks. And I'm going to start with Mr. Wei Yuan, who is the Vice Minister of Ministry of Science and Technology in China. Thank you.
尊敬的日本文部科学副大臣永冈贵子女士，尊敬的各位GEO的联合主席，吉尔伯特·卡马拉先生，各位代表、女士们、先生们，大家上午好。
Distinguished State Minister Ms. Keiko Nagaoka, distinguished GEO co-chairs, and Mr. Gilberto Camara, representatives, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
作为亚大区的联合主席，首先我谨对日本政府精心筹划和周到服务举办GEO的第15届全会表示衷心的感谢，也借此机会，祝贺日本在本周一成功发射科学卫星。感谢斯蒂芬·奥尔兹先生作为轮值主席在过去1年出色的工作。 在此也欢迎伯特里克·查尔德先生成为新任的欧盟联合主席，吉尔伯特·卡马拉先生担任新一届的GEO秘书处的主任。
As the co-chair representing Asian Oceania region, I hereby express my sincere gratitude to the Japanese government for hosting the 15th plenary session and congratulations on the launch of the satellite this Monday. I thank Mr. Stephen Watts for his hard work as the lead co-chair this year, and I welcome the new fellows, Mr. Patrick Child and Mr. Gilberto Camara.
2018年也是各个区域GEO蓬勃发展的1年，在21个成员国和相关组织的努力下。 亚大地区地球观测取得了很多实质性的进展。今年5月，首届 GEO-XV 国际研讨会在中国的浙江召开，湄公河流域的示范项目也正式启动，分别在中国、尼泊尔和老挝举办了3次 GEO-XV 的能力建设的培训班， 第11届亚太的 GEO-XV 国际研讨会上周也成功举办了。
This year also witnessed the prosperous development of regional GEOs. Thanks to concerted efforts of 21 members and relevant international organizations, AOGEOs has made substantial progress. The first AOGEOs International Conference was held in China in May, and the Mekong River Basin Pilot Study Project was launched at the conference. 3 AOGEOs training sessions were held in China, Nepal, and Laos this year. The 11th GEOs Asian Pacific Symposium was held last week.
面向 GEO 的3项优先事项，中国也积极开展工作。中国政府大力推进生态文明建设，以德清等城市为示范区，为实现联合国2030可持续发展的目标提供了中国的示范项目。中国将气候变化融入国家经济社会发展的中长期规划，践行全球气候治理的大国的责任，加大碳卫星数据国际共享的力度，并利用遥感卫星在重点区域实施大气污染的监控。在减灾方面，国家综合地球数据共享平台今年已经响应南太平洋吉塔飓风、老挝溃坝事故、印尼的地震等多次国际的灾害的应急救援。
China has been progressing towards GEO's 3 priorities. The government has promoted the ecological progress. Some cities and towns, including Deqing in China, have been selected as samples for a quantitative evaluation on the implementation of the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals in China. China takes climate change into account in the national medium and long-term plan for economic and social development. Shoulders the responsibility of a big country in global climate governance, promotes Tencent data sharing to the world, and addresses air pollution by improving nationwide smog monitoring and control through satellite remote sensing in key regions. As for disaster risk reduction, the China GEOS DSNet, an Earth observation data sharing platform, has provided satellite data for worldwide disaster relief, such as Hurricane Gita in the South Pacific, dam break in Laos, and earthquake in Indonesia.
中国秉承开放包容、合作共赢的理念，支持柬埔寨等亚太地区国家地球观测能力的建设，并在连续开展青年全球生态遥感、环境遥感的监测分析的基础上，面向非洲国家应用需求，加强了与肯尼亚、马达加斯加等非洲国家在地表覆盖制图和地面验证等方面的合作。
And China upholds the concept of openness, inclusiveness, and win-win cooperation, supports Earth observation capacity building in Asian countries, such as Cambodia. Focusing on the application requirements of Africa, China has strengthened cooperation in land cover mapping and in secure validation with Kenya, Madagascar, and other countries through the global ecosystems and environment observation analysis research cooperation, which has been performed for 7 years consecutively.
立足当下这个未来可期，我们愿意与 GEO 的各界代表携手共进，共创 GEO 的美好未来。最后，祝愿这次大会取得圆满成功。谢谢大家。
A bright future results from concrete efforts today. We stand ready to work together with all GEO members to create a better future. Last but not least, I wish this conference a full success. Thank you.
Thank you, China Co-Chair. We're going to now move on to Mr. Patrick Child, who is the co-chair for the European Commission.
Deputy Ministers,
fellow co-chairs, distinguished guests, I'd like to join our chair in welcoming participants to the GEO-XV plenary and for thanking very warmly our Japanese hosts for their generous and gracious hospitality. The European Commission, like Japan, was a founding member of the GEO initiative, which traces its origins to the first Earth Observation Summit held in 2003. And on a broader level, the European Commission attaches great importance to research and innovation cooperation with Japan, rooted in the Japan Strategic Partnership Agreement signed in July 2018. The European Commission has also been a major supporter of GEO and GEO-related research and innovation since 2005. And the European Commission will continue to support GEO in the future in the expectation that GEO is able to prove its relevance. And I believe we've reached a major turning point regarding GEO. It's already almost 5 years since ministers meeting in Geneva decided to commit GEO for a second decade, and a full 3 years since the ministerial launching the detailed strategic plan. In other words, we are no longer in a transition or a preparatory phase. We must now see an impact from our efforts and our investments. On the occasion of the previous GEO ministerial, governments have affirmed that GEO and its Earth observations and information will support the implementation of the 2030 Global Goals for Sustainable Development, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, and the United Nations System of Environmental Economic Accounts, and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. I'm very much looking forward to the next ministerial meeting in 12 months' time in Australia, where we will have an opportunity to take stock of our progress. And I believe that at this point we must be able to show a major leap forward in what GEO is actually delivering. And this means delivering useful Earth observation information and data for our users and for decision making. The success of GEO will be measured by its relevance based on deliverables which support areas high on our political agenda. And this is the imperative we face as we, in particular, seek the very pressing need to deliver a response on climate change and the wider sustainable development goals. Nothing can better illustrate this urgency than the special report emerging earlier this month from the IPCC on the 1.5 impacts and pathways. This is a real wake-up call for us all. The main message of the report is that stabilizing global temperature at 1.5 degrees warmer than pre-industrial levels is still possible, but requires immediate and focused action. Earth observations can and do play a major role, and therefore I believe GEO should be able to put this at the very top of our agenda and deliver. And the European Commission is committed to supporting a prompt, concerted and coordinated strategy on reducing greenhouse gas emissions in time for the forthcoming COP meeting. And for this reason, I'm very much looking forward to the dedicated panel discussion later today on the Paris Agreement and on the Sustainable Development Goals, and tomorrow the session that we will have on the Sendai Framework Agreement. These 3 geo-priority areas were well chosen and, we believe, deserve urgent attention. The European Union is actively contributing to the user-oriented approach through a number of different programs, including Copernicus and Horizon 2020, the world's largest publicly funded research and innovation program. A new proposal for Horizon 2020's successor, Horizon Europe, is well advanced in our internal discussions, and the European Commission is proposing to continue its support for GEO actions in particular, and environmental observation in general. In the past year, we've witnessed the geo-regional initiatives really taking off. I see it happening in Europe with many organizations now committed to the Euro-GEOS initiative and a real enthusiasm to cooperate, combining and coordinating a connected playing field in the world of Earth observation in Europe and beyond. And the focus of Euro-GEOS is on end users and addressing their needs. This strengthening of all these activities across the region should not be seen as a threat to the global Earth observation system of systems, but rather as an asset. While we are naturally focused on our respective geographical areas, each regional initiative is contributing in a very positive way to the overall effort, as the problems that we face are global ones. Before I close, I would like to invite all of you to visit the European stand at the exhibition, where a sample of our many contributions to the GEO-XV are presented by projects, by participating organizations, by European GEO members, as well as the Copernicus program. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, European Commission. We're just now going to hand over to Stephen Waltz, who is the GEO co-chair for United States of America.
Thank you, Mo Benini. Good morning, delegates of the 15th GEO Plenary. On behalf of the United States delegation, I would like to thank the government of Japan for hosting this year's plenary and for welcoming us here in splendid Kyoto, and particularly to Minister Nagaoka for inviting us and for giving us the keynote today. We would also like to congratulate our colleagues at JAXA, the Ministry of the Environment, and the National Institute for Environmental Studies for their successful launch this week, just Monday, of GOSAT-2, Ibuki-2 mission. GOSAT-2 promises to provide observations of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane with higher levels of accuracy through even higher performance onboard instruments than provided on GOSAT-1, which was launched almost 10 years ago today. GOSAT-2 will join a growing constellation or collection of satellites from many nations providing critical high-accuracy global measurements of greenhouse gases, adding to our studies of the Earth's atmosphere and the role those gases play in the Earth's climate. We share our Japanese colleagues' excitement for this successful milestone in the Japanese space program. In GEO, in 2019 has been also an active year for all of us as well. Personally, I was privileged to serve as the lead co-chair for this year in GEO, and that offered me the opportunity to interact with many parts of GEO in a way I wouldn't have been able to otherwise, and to participate in many of those efforts that shaped the year of success. Reflecting on the work of this year, I am pleased to see the milestones we've accomplished. We had a change in the organizational leadership as Barb Ryan passed the baton of the GEO Secretary Director to Gilberto Camara in July. Dr. Camara and I have worked very closely these past several months to ensure a smooth transition and continuity of the priorities that were established in the plenary here a year ago, and the continuity of all the priorities we set for 2018. Dr. Camara has stepped into his role with vigor, bringing a renewed focus to GEOS and to GEO's flagships and initiatives to deliver information and services with the greatest impact to us all. Whereas impact, as Mr. Childs just said, is really the measure of success for our work, is the impact that we bring to the citizens of the world. GEO's 10-year strategic plan that we adopted in 2015 emphasizes the importance of understanding user needs and recognized that while we collect global observations and deliver information services that can work and do work anywhere in the world, our greatest value is often felt locally. The needs of our members vary by user community and by geographic region, and we have focused our efforts to be more relevant to those we serve in that way. As a result, this year, we have placed significant focus on GEO's regional initiatives. The Executive Committee and the Program Board have worked with the leadership of AmeriGEOS, AfriGEOS, AOGEOS, and EuroGEOS to discuss the best ways to recognize the uniqueness of these organizations and their value to the GEO mission. These regional GEOs have matured very rapidly and are serving their regions well. Today, you will be asked during the plenary to affirm a recommendation that strengthens these regional mechanisms, recognizing their unique contribution, and empowers them to serve as an enhanced role supporting the execution of GEO's overall work program activities. As we've seen, the need is great. The demand and use of information from Earth observations is great and global. We need to engage not only the members and the participating organizations, but non-traditional partners as well, including private and commercial organizations, to make our services and our applications global and routine. It is through these new partners, together with the rest of us, that we may succeed in making the applications of Earth observations a regular activity for everyone in the world, and not just for nations and states. As we move into 2019 and towards the development of the next 3-year GEO work program, The executive committee, your executive committee, has tasked the GEO Secretariat and the program board together to assess the productivity of our current GEO work program and yield valuable insight into areas of success and areas of need in that program. We must understand where and how we have achieved success so that we can apply these measures, these practices to other efforts. We must also understand what stands in the way of success in other places so that we can remove those impediments as we devise the next work program. For the program board and the Secretariat to be successful, we need strong engagement of those subject matter experts and the user community involved in these GEO activities. It's through that feedback that we will be able to improve our services and our programs. We need all the organizations of GEO to be involved in these efforts, including you as the principals of the member countries and of the participating organizations. Your engagement in GEO organization and tasks will mean your governments, your citizens, and your membership will benefit from GEO as well. Your engagement contributes to GEO in many ways, either contributing data, contributing scientific knowledge and expertise, information about the needs on the ground, and contributing resources to the trust fund. These are all critical contributions to GEO for our success. I strongly encourage the heads of the delegations and the organizations here today and tomorrow to inquire and learn and demand responses from your work program, from your leadership, and from the organizations that support GEO so that we can see what opportunities we have to serve your needs and the opportunities for you to contribute to GEO. Be active, please. Browse the exhibition, not just the Commission's site, but all of them, so we can see how the Japanese, the Chinese, and the U.S., all of our delegations are working to provide information and services. Ask questions of the GEO Secretariat and demand answers. Share your experiences, and very importantly, stay engaged after the plenary. This is not a one-day or two-day event, but it's a global and annual and perennial event in order to be successful. Next year, GEO will be convening the Ministerial Summit, as you've heard. We expect the 2019 Ministerial will draw participation of leaders from all sectors, from government, academia, non-government, and private sector, as they all share stakes in the success of our mission. Your active engagement will be an important part of ensuring your ministers' participation in the business of GEO. The seeds we plant with our discussions and decisions this week will bear fruits over the coming year, leading to the Ministerial, solidifying the recognition that Earth observations are essential for informed decisions and that GEO is the forum for coordinating Earth observations for successful decision making. So thank you, and I look forward to a very successful 2 days here at the plenary. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think over the past few minutes we've heard a lot about the activities of JAXA, and I think it's befitting now that we ask Mr. Kimiya Yui, who is the astronaut at JAXA, to just come and briefly share a few words with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kyoto. I'm Kimiya Yui, head of JAXA astronaut group. Today, I'd like to make a short briefing, comment today. It's a great honor for me to do these remarks. And some of you already know, but I was a crew member of Expedition 44 and 45. So I stayed at International Space Station for about 5 months. People often said, oh, staying ISS for 5 months? That's too long. But for me, life in space was so comfortable. Look at this picture, big smile on my face. So I felt like 5 months, this quick. Just before coming back from the ISS, we had a press conference on orbit. At that time, I'm a really honest person, so I said, honest opinion, I don't want to go back to the Earth. But problem was, my wife actually watched that press conference and got really angry. So she said, oh, you have to come home, and I decided to come back. That's why I'm here and making some speech. Yeah? And, okay, next. The reason why the life in space is so comfortable, because we can see this kind of view every day. Quite a view, right? Usually, astronauts describe this kind of view with really, really nice word, but unfortunately for me, my English and Japanese score during my high school age was 3 out of 10, almost failed. So I was not able to describe it. The reason why I was not able to describe was, yeah, of course, my English ability, but this view is too beautiful to describe, I think. I was also very shocked to see this thin layer of atmosphere between space and the Earth. When I was on the ground, I was thinking that, oh, we have plenty of air. We can spoil it. It doesn't matter. But when I see this, I realize that, oh, we have only small amount of air, and Earth environment is really fragile, and we have to protect it. Okay. One day I tried to take a photo of glaciers in this area, but I was so surprised to see only small amounts are remaining. Few months later, yeah, of course, winter came and glaciers increased. So I released a little bit, but I also realized that these glaciers actually providing fresh water to the people in this area. So losing these glaciers will be huge impact the people in this area. During my stay, I observed a lot of typhoons, hurricanes, and huge sandstorms covering maybe 2 or 3 countries, and also wildfires and also volcano activities. When I taking these pictures, I realized that by using this kind of Earth observation capability, we will be able to make the Earth a better place for live, for everyone. Of course, unfortunately or fortunately, I came back to the Earth and I breathed fresh air and ate fresh food. Then I was so relieved. And I realized that, oh, this is my home. And not only for my home, but home for everybody. Oh, this is the last picture. This is my favorite picture during my mission. This is night picture of Egypt. You can see Nile, yeah, river. So from ancient age, of course, humankind faced a lot of problems, issues, but humankind actually cooperate with each other, worked together, and find a way to solve the problem. And that result, we passed that result to next generation. We did it many, many times, and we have now. So from this point of view, this conference is really, really important. Of course, we are going to discuss a lot of issues, difficult problems to solve, but we have many people from a lot of delegations, representatives from each country. If we discuss actively, we will be able to find a way to solve the problem, definitely. I believe we can do it 100%. So let's do it for the better future, for the, not only for the humankind, but all species on the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And now we back down to earth. We're going to ask the director of the GEO Secretariat to have a few words.
Good morning, and my first words is of thanks to Minister Nagaoka for being here. It's an honor for us to have you here. And with that, I salute all of the member states, my fellow, the co-chairs of GEO, and I also welcome Mr. Mami Mitsutori, which is from the UNSDR, Director of UNSDR, sorry, and with her, I acknowledge the importance of our participating organizations. Since I am new to GEO, and some of you may, of course, not know me yet, I just prepared some briefings to express one of the things that I like about GEO is that there is a diversity of views, of experiences, of countries, of cultures. And I think in that case, it's important to have that reflected on the different views. So I'm going to present you my view on what I do. And let me see, do I click here? Where's the click? Oh, this one. Okay, first thing is to acknowledge the inclusion as participating organizations during the last year of 12 organizations. The ADPC, the Asia Disaster Preparedness Center, the African Climate Change Research Center, ACREC, the Center for Environment from the Arab regions in Europe, CEDARE, the Afriterra, the Cartographic Free Library, from the Environmental Pulse Institute, the Institute for Water Education in Delft, in partnership with UNESCO, the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, the Radiant Earth Foundation, the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data, the Resources for the Future Initiative, the SPREP, Secretariat of the Pacific Regional Environment Program, and the United States Economic Special Commission for Western Africa. So this are very important partnerships that we have. Each of them brings unique expertise. And just for illustrate one of them, this is something on the Afriterra website, which is a unique cartographic repository of maps about Africa, showing how our perception of Africa has changed over decades and centuries. So this is Ptolemaeus' map called Africa Tabula, and I will let you see that this is one of the very beautiful maps that you can see in the Afriterra Foundation. But it is a privilege to all of us to have this meeting here in Kyoto, and I had the privilege of staying over the weekend. And I went to one place which I longed very much to be, the GEO-XV. I think this is close to the right pronunciation as I can get. That's the Zen Garden. And the Zen Garden is a Zen garden, magnificent. And I was trying to put some music here, but I was told there's copyrights. And my good friend Satoru Otaki knows that I have a strong preference for the Japanese composer Toru Takemitsu, who will fit very nicely with the Zen Garden. But it's absolutely magnificent, but also it's a place for meditation and for thinking about how we evolve slowly as a species. And obviously the Zen masters had time on their side. But we don't have time on their side. So I am going just to tell you what I bring to GEO. I'm proud of having academic qualifications, very proud of that. I'm the second most cited person in geoinformatics in the world, the 11th in GI science, the 8th on Earth observation, the 14th in land use change, and the 15th on spatial analysis. And why I consider that relevant for GEO? I consider that relevant for GEO because it fits with another side of my personality, which is the quixotic quest for opening data. So this is 2006. And in 2006, we were the first to release Landsat data. I went to the United States. This is a trade news magazine in 2006, where I said words which are as true as they were there. With Landsat type data, the only model that makes sense is data free for all. There is no commercial possibility for exploiting the data and still making an impact in society. In other words, you choose. You either want to make an impact in society or you try to explore commercially. You can have both. And this was recognized then 2 years later by Nature. So Nature 2008 said this: a few satellites can cover the entire globe, but there needs to be a system in place to ensure their images are readily available to everyone who needs them. Brazil, and I'm proud that I was the director of INPE at that time, has set an important precedent by making its Earth observation data available, and the rest of the world should follow suit. And I've been in this quest ever since. And then later on, The Landsat in the United States was free, and more recently Copernicus was free, but of course we're still fighting to free all the data in the world. And the other kinds of things that need to be free is the information derived from this data. So Nature, in the Rio +20 editorial, called the reduction of deforestation in the Amazon the biggest environmental success in decades. This was supported, but not achieved solely, by the fact that INPE, the institute that maps Amazon deforestation by satellites, made its data public. The data was hidden, and we made it public. And I'm very honored to acknowledge the presence here of former Minister of the Environment of Brazil, Isabella Teixeira, who was extremely an enormous driver for making use of the data, because the data is there, but if the decision maker is not making use of the data, you don't do anything. By taking the necessary actions, the cuts in Amazon fell from 27,000 square kilometers in 2004 to 6,000 square kilometers in 2017. And that's really an achievement. But you have to remember, and this was born out of our experience, is that rigor and quality for public policy are as important as they are for science. This is an image that shows on the left side the whole map. Anyone can produce a map of deforestation. The tough thing is to support what we call the soy moratorium. What's the soy moratorium? It's an alliance of producers who agree to not deforest the Amazon, and that is verified by comparing the polygons of deforestation measured by INPE with the polygons of the farms which they provide. So each polygon must be right. So each polygon, it's not the whole map, each polygon identified in each farm has to be right to guarantee that those who are flagged that are not correctly following the soil moratoria are punished, and those who are doing it right have their certificates for compliance achieved, which means rigor and quality is as important for public policy as they are for science. There is, in fact, I would argue they're even more important, because without the guarantee that you get the right polygon, the system would collapse in 6 months. And this is also the contribution, and rigorous was also important, together with Minister Teixeira, that we set up to prepare the best work that we could do, the most rigorous work that we could do, that went in Brazil's NDC to Paris, which promised zero net deforestation for emissions from deforestation after 2030. So, going back to what our Japanese astronaut has told us, can we provide food and water and energy for 9.4 billion people, avoid dangerous climate change, and protect our planet's biodiversity? This is a challenge. Now, let me ask you a question. What is this object? What is this object? Any guesses? Huh? What is it? It's a Tutankhamun mask. What does it have to do with GEO? Well, remember the Tutankhamun mask? Laid dormant in the desert, hidden under the sands for 33 centuries. Now, some in the GEO are opening their data. Some of them are like the Tutankhamun mask, having their data hidden. And the problem is, what is shared becomes our common good. What is not shared becomes a Tutankhamun mask hidden on the desert. So we don't have 33 centuries to wait before the data that is hidden in many archives is made available. We have 20 years. So please remember of the Tutankhamun mask every time you take a decision to release or not release your data, because the world needs your data. And your commitment to sharing data is one of the key aspects that would make the world better. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I am aware that we are running behind schedule. I'm going to be taking this time from us, starting from Gilberto when he does his presentation. We've got the program or the agenda of plenary in front of us, either in the form of some kind of a soft or a hard copy. And I just want us to go into 1.3 of that agenda, which is the approval of the agenda. So, do we have any issues with the proposed agenda, or can we just move forward and approve and go on with the program? I'm looking around and I don't see anything, and I want to see somebody who supports the adoption. And I see the support of the adoption and the other support from the GEO co-chair here. So we adopt this agenda. This is going to be guiding our engagements for the next 2 days. Now 1.4 is the approval of the draft report of the GEO-XV by us here. And this is going to be presented by Gilberto. And Gilberto, you don't have the time that you think you have. So I'm going to be throwing out some facial expressions, and you must be very afraid of them. Thank you.
I think I can do it from this point, because this document has been circulated to you previously. We have received a number of comments which were integrated in the document, and therefore we move to express the Secretariat's position to ask you to adopt this document as the official report from GEO-XV. So I would please ask you if anyone has any further issues which you would like to bring to our attention at this point. Seeing none, I submit to the co-chair, lead co-chair, the proposal from the Secretariat that the document be approved.
Thank you so much. In the absence of any objection, we are approving the report of the GEO-XV, and I'm going to use this for the first time now. That's approved. We're going to move to the opening keynote, and this is going to be presented by Mami Musutori, who is a special representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction. And I think that this cannot be more opportune, as it really relates to one of the core themes and focus of GEO. Thank you so much. The platform is yours.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Your Excellency, Ms. Nagaoka Yoko, State Minister for Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology, distinguished co-chairs, member state delegates, and participating organizations to the GEO-XV plenary. It is indeed an honor to be invited to address you at this opening ceremony of this plenary. At the outset, I would like to thank the government of Japan for hosting this week and providing wonderful support and your well-known hospitality towards a successful event. The week that GEO carries out is closely linked to the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction And I will try to elaborate a bit in my speech later, the room that we have for collaboration between GEO and the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, which is the enabler of the Sendai Framework. This is my first opportunity to attend a GEO plenary, and indeed, I already feel very encouraged by GEO's effort to explore opportunities for the use of Earth observation for the benefit of humankind. The theme of your week here in Japan, supporting a resilient and sustainable world, and the focus on 3 priority areas, namely the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, the Paris Agreement on Climate, and the Sustainable Development Goals, demonstrates your clear commitment to reducing disaster risk for sustainable development. In an increasingly interconnected world, and at a time when disasters related to climate change are rising at an alarming pace, disaster risks can lead to critical infrastructure failure, undermine sustainable development, and jeopardize the well-being of people, especially those who are vulnerable. In a recent report that we have published at UNISDR, we found out that during the past 20 years, climate-related and geospatial, geophysical disasters killed 1.3 million people and left a further 4.4 billion affected in terms of injured, homeless, or displaced. While the majority of fatalities were due to geophysical events, mostly earthquakes and tsunamis, 91% of the major reported disasters were caused by floods, storms, droughts, heat waves, and other extreme weather events. Furthermore, when we look at economic losses, the absolute amount is borne by the high-income countries. However, it is the low and lower middle-income countries which suffer most, because in relation to their GDP, their economic losses are enormous, as we have seen in the 2017 hurricane season, which hit a lot of Caribbean islands last year. This clearly means that while climate change is increasing, the frequency and severity of extreme weather events, disasters will continue to be major impediments to sustainable development. So long as economic incentives to carry out development in disaster-prone areas outweigh consideration for perceived disaster risks, we are not succeeding in our mission of implementing the agreements that I just mentioned. And the Sendai Framework does call for a paradigm shift to not only respond to these disasters, but to manage the risks. But we must question ourselves whether we are succeeding in doing this. There are several annual key occasions when we advocate for disaster risk management, and October 13th was one of it. This is the International Day for Disaster Reduction, and every year we focus on one of the 7 targets of the Sendai Framework. This year we focused on economic losses. Economic losses from disaster losses often ensue from the creation of new risk and/or the exacerbation of existing levels of risk. If development and economic growth are not risk-informed, they are not sustainable. They can undermine our efforts over decades to build resilience, ending in disaster economic losses. If we cannot enhance our political will and commitment to make serious progress on reducing greenhouse gas emission now, climate change will play an increasingly central role in driving up disaster losses around the world in the foreseeable future. As the UN Secretary General has recently warned, and I quote, "If we do not change course by 2020, which is in 2 years, risk missing the point where we can avoid runaway climate change with disastrous consequences for people and all the natural systems that sustain us. With this strong concern, the Secretary General has taken the initiative to convene the Climate Summit in September next year. We must make this a success. Alongside the global push by the United Nations and other stakeholders for reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, there is also widespread recognition that we need to implement the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015-2030. Many actions can be taken to reduce disaster risks, from the enforcement of land use regulations, enactment and implementation of robust building codes, preservation of protective ecosystem, risk-informed and planned urban development, and by paying special attention to the needs of the poor and vulnerable of our societies. The key prerequisite for these actions is to provide credible data to the decision makers so that they can correctly assess the risks that they face and take subsequently informed decisions. And this data has to be easily available and understandable and, as Mr. Kamara emphasized, free. Here, Earth observation and geospatial data has a huge potential to put risks into context and to make a strong case for disaster risk reduction. Over the next 2 days, I understand that you will be revising and adjusting your work program to meet current trends and needs that arise from the experience of the practitioners, implementing the major international agreements that has been mentioned many times already today. You will also discuss, I believe, how Earth observation can play an even more prominent role in the important implementation of the Sendai Framework and in reducing disaster risk. And here I would like to mention about the threefold application for disaster-related Earth observation data, which I would like to encourage you to consider in your discussions. First, more and more countries are moving forward to put in place their national and local strategies for disaster risk reduction. Earth observation data could greatly assist these countries in assessing their current risk trends with a view to determining the most pressing priorities. The countries need to understand what are the priorities in the list of risks that they need to put into their national strategies. This is one of the targets of the Sendai Framework. Secondly, Earth observation data can assist countries and the international community in monitoring the implementation of the Sendai Framework, the Paris Agreement, and the SDGs in a coherent manner, and hence in taking corrective action where implementation is lagging behind. Earth observation data can fill gaps which currently exist in official statistics and help to provide a comprehensive picture of the status of implementation. Third and lastly, Earth observation data is considered as part and parcel of our effort at UNISDR in building a collaborative global risk assessment framework, which is a very ambitious project to provide to decision makers at all levels a tool to understand the risk they face and to make informed decisions. There are, I believe, more upcoming opportunities for further collaboration and consultation between GEO and UNISDR. We are going to hold a global platform, a global conference for disaster risk reduction in May next year in Geneva, and we are looking forward to a strong and continuous partnership with GEO. I believe that listening to what Mr. Kamara mentioned and what the distinguished co-chairs mentioned in their remarks, there is a lot of potential in the scope and depth of the collaboration that we can have. We need to bring our forces together now. The powerful images that Mr. Yui showed in his presentation, I believe, speak for themselves on what we need to protect and what challenges we have. I would like to close by thanking the government of Japan, as well as the GEO Secretariat, led by Mr. Gilberto Camara, for their hospitality and the excellent organization of this event. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. This brings us to the end of this session, and in case you haven't noticed, when the Secretariat Director was on stage, he actually also did the last item, which is the information document on the new participating organization. So we have now come to the end of this session. We are going to do the following as part of transitioning to the second session and to coffee. We will be going out of here and then turning my left towards the garden for a photograph, a group photograph. And immediately after the group photograph, which will be very quick, we are going to then head to the opening of the exhibitions. And then after that, we will be free to mingle, but making sure that we are back here to start at 11 o'clock. The idea is that we need to go back to normal time so that we can have our lunch on time. Thank you so much. So we start by a group photograph, and then we go for the opening of the exhibition and coffee.